In the beginning we're gonna make a general talk about interface. Next, here are different panels for materials or animation. We won't discuss any options in particular way. We will talk very generally. Okay. So we've got 4 windows here. Their size can be easily changed. This panel's size can be changed too. As you can see, we've got a lot of freedom here. We can undock this panel. And we can dock it back. Here on the right side we've got specific panel. We've got different options here. We can roll these windows in and out. If we have more of them rolled out, we can scroll them up and down. If we want to see more sections simultaneously, we can simply resize the panel. We can scale it to have 3 or even 4 columns if there are more options. But to have more space in Viewport, it's better to have just 1 column and simply scroll it when needed. Down here is a timeline, but we won't talk about it right now. Here on the top are the most visible options. In theory, these are the most commonly used ones. First ones here are undo and redo buttons. Here are linking buttons. In this area there are options for manipulating objects. Next, here are different panels for materials or animation. And here in the end are rendering options. As you can see, we've got some tabs here too. In this case they're inactive. They work by context, so they become active only during modeling. At this point, only the last 2 are active. And these are active during modeling. Okay. We've got also some hidden windows. If I'll click right button here, additional options will appear. For example, we've got Mass FX toolbar here. You can dock and undock it. And close it if not needed anymore. In here are all basic options like saving, opening, import, export, creating new document. Here's quick save. We can use standard shortcuts for this, Ctrl+S. And finally here's main menu. First is edit section. Normally it's almost not used. Maybe in the beginning, eventually, when you forget some shortcut. You can open it and check it here. W, E, etc. Next is tools. Here are tools which are useful in certain situations. For example, here's the tool for massive object renaming. But there's also a lot of options that just make it easier to manage the scene you're working on. Here's grouping, but we'll be talking about it later, of course. Next is view with all options of Viewport, obviously. Create menu have options to create different kind of objects. Modifiers gives you tools to manipulate 3D objects mesh. Here options for animations. Here are different edit windows, mainly for editing animations. Here are all rendering options. This one is not so important. It's just used when working together with AutoCAD. Customize. Here are simply preferences and global options of program itself. In this place is everything related to programming, scripting for 3ds Max. In content you can just buy different stuff from Creative Market. Game export is quite fresh thing made for game developers. Print Studio is just connection to another program. And help. Especially in the beginning, help may be very useful. It's one of most important things when you start. Here is separate help for those scripting in Macs. Here's help for beginners. Here you can check what's new in new Macs release. Next is link to tutorials. There's a lot of it. You can simply check it out. I won't talk about each option now, but if you are curious about something that has not been discussed, then you can use help. For example, here's Create tab. We're in Geometry section now. If that's what is interesting us, then we can go to Help. Now we search for Create Geometry. And here it is. We've got even video about creating objects here. Okay. So we're back to 3ds Max, and now we'll talk about this panel on the right. First tab is Create, and here we've got Geometry section where are tools to create geometry. Here are different basic geometric figures. Next are shapes where we can create different lines. Lighting. Cameras. Here are specific auxiliary objects. Here are special objects used for simulations. And here are different systems. Next tab is Modify, where are modifiers used to manipulate objects mesh. Here we have Hierarchy tab, but we'll talk about it another time. Pretty soon actually. Another tab is Motion. Obviously it's related to controlling animation. Here's Display tab. This tab is related to viewport management. And final tab is some additional tools.